Welcome to another deep dive right here on the Simplified Summer YouTube channel.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you with us today.
Absolutely. Now, before we jump into things, if you want to support what we do and keep getting these deep dives, please hit that subscribe button.
Oh, and don't forget to like this video and share your valuable comments down below. We love reading your thoughts.
We really do. It helps the channel out a ton.
Yeah.
So let's just get right into it. Think about human morality for a second. Usually it's treated like a municipal building code, right?
Right, yeah. You follow the rules, the building stands.
Exactly. You break the rules, the building collapses, and everyone knows exactly who to blame. It's legible, it's quantifiable.
Mm-hmm.
But then you encounter extreme, unfiltered altruism. And suddenly, that whole framework completely falls apart.
Oh, totally.
It's like someone pouring their own concrete foundation by hand,
Yeah.
working through the night, just to keep the entire neighborhood from sinking into the mud.
Yeah, and the response from society isn't gratitude.
No. Instead, the city inspectors show up to fine them for not having the right permits. And the neighbors just stand around laughing at the effort.
It's crazy.
Imagine dedicating your entire life to helping everyone around you, literally giving up your entire existence to fetch medicine in the middle of the night for a sick neighbor, or physically standing up to corrupt authorities to protect the vulnerable.
Just to have society look at you, mock you, and call you a complete fool.
It is such a profound paradox. The ultimate good is treated as a societal illness, or at least some kind of dangerous delusion.
Which brings us to today's source material.
Yes. Today, we are exploring a legendary piece of literature that dissects this exact paradox. We are diving into the Mansarovar collection, specifically Part 5, by the iconic Indian author Munshi Premchand.
A true classic.
And we're extracting the core insights from his short story titled Hinsa Parmodharma.
Which translates conceptually to violence is the highest duty.
Right, which is just an incredible title.
It really is. It's an intentionally shocking title, especially in the context of Indian philosophy. And it's deeply ironic given what actually happens in the narrative.
So our mission for this deep dive is to explore this fascinating story of a man named Jamid. We're going to decode what his journey teaches us about the true nature of altruism, the often hidden hypocrisy of organized religion, and the massive culture clash between city life and village values.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with Jamid's life in his rural village.
So when Premchand first introduces us to Jamid, he paints a picture of a man who defies every conventional social category.
Right.
The text describes him specifically as someone who is no one's servant, yet everyone's servant.
That phrasing is just, it really forces you to stop and think about the logistics of his life.
He really does.
Because he has absolutely no personal wealth, no ambitions in any traditional sense.
Right.
There's no career trajectory, no retirement plan, no property accumulation.
He possesses a complete lack of self-interest, which is almost alien to how we understand human motivation today.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if someone in the village falls sick, Jamid is the one who will walk miles in the dead of midnight to fetch a healer.
Or track down specific medicinal herbs.
Exactly. He is permanently on call for the community without ever asking for a salary or even recognition.
And he doesn't just do the safe, comforting tasks either.
No, he doesn't.
The text notes that he will physically fight the local constables to protect the poor from being exploited.
Wow.
Yeah. He puts his own physical safety, his freedom, on the line constantly to act as a shield for people who literally cannot defend themselves.
So he is completely detached from the typical societal game of accumulating status. His entire existence is just defined by service.
Right.
And you might logically assume that a community blessed with such a person would revere him, right? Perhaps even treat him as a living saint.
But they don't at all.
Nope.
Instead of building a statue of the guy, the villagers consider him crazy. They openly call him a fool.
Yeah, it's pretty harsh.
Because he spends all of his time, energy, and resources helping others, he has to rely on those same people just to get a daily meal.
He relies on their charity for food.
And instead of just feeding him out of profound gratitude, they use it as an opportunity to lecture him.
They tell him he is wasting his life.
Right.
They look at his poverty and use it as definitive proof that his entire methodology of living is inherently flawed.
Like it's a character defect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The villagers warn him that when his time inevitably comes, when he falls ill or grows too old to work, no one will be there to give him even a single drop of water.
I have to push back on this a little bit, though.
Okay, go for it.
Because I think a lot of people listening might actually sympathize with the villagers.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, we live in a society that generally values charity. We have GoFundMe, we have massive nonprofit organizations, we celebrate philanthropy,
That's true.
but we also have the classic airplane safety instruction, right?
Yeah.
Put your own oxygen mask on first before assisting others.
Oh, the oxygen mask analogy, yeah.
Right, because if you pass out from lack of oxygen, you are completely useless to the person sitting next to you.
Fair point.
So why is Jamid's specific brand of giving so offensive to them? Is purely selfless living actually sustainable? Or is it just a slow, burdensome form of self-destruction?
What's fascinating here is how that oxygen mask analogy makes perfect logical sense in a temporary survival situation. But let's look at the underlying mechanism of why Jamid's behavior triggers such a visceral, negative reaction.
Okay.
Society doesn't operate purely on survival logistics. It operates on a highly complex transactional economy.
Right, give and take.
Exactly. Even modern philanthropy, like the GoFundMe examples you mentioned, it's highly legible and contained.
Sure.
You give money, you get a tax write-off, or you get social clout, or at the very least, you get the psychological satisfaction of a completed transaction. The boundary is clear.
You do something for me, I owe you something in return.
Hmm.
Or I give, and my obligation is fulfilled. Done.
Yes. And Jamid completely shorts out that transactional circuitry. Oh, I see. He gives without demanding a receipt, and he gives without a stopping point. True, unbridled altruism makes ordinary people incredibly uncomfortable because it holds up a mirror to their own selfishness.
Wow. Yeah.
If Jamid can live purely for others without demanding compensation, it begs the uncomfortable question, why can't the rest of us?
So the villagers mock him, not because he's actually foolish, but because his very existence makes them feel deeply guilty.
Exactly.
By calling him crazy, they give themselves psychological permission to ignore his moral superiority.
Right, because if he's just a madman, they don't have to confront their own greed.
Or their own transactional pettiness.
Spot on. They weaponize his poverty to invalidate his morality. But this constant rejection, this daily mockery from the very people he is sacrificing his life for, eventually forces Jamid's eyes open.
It has to, eventually.
It does. He realizes that his service is being met with contempt rather than inspiring any sort of communal awakening. He isn't elevating them, he's just becoming a convenient target for their scorn.
And that rejection serves as the catalyst for the entire narrative.
It really is the turning point.
It drives Jamid to pack up whatever nothing he has and leave. He decides to seek a better life, a more enlightened life in the big city.
Which is a huge shift.
And this sets up a stark, almost whiplash-inducing contrast between his expectations of what urban civilization should be and the reality he actually uncovers.
Yeah, the transition from the rural village to the massive urban center is the major thematic pivot in Premchand's story.
Definitely.
When Jamid arrives in the city, the text emphasizes how he is immediately struck by the sheer scale of the physical infrastructure.
We are talking towering buildings, wide, perfectly clean streets, and an incredible number of grand temples and mosques.
Just massive structures.
Right. It looks, from the outside, like a place of massive religious, social, and spiritual devotion. You'd think a guy like Jamid, who's essentially devotion personified, would finally find his people.
You really would. Visually, it appears to be a utopia compared to the mud and struggle of his village.
Yeah.
But that facade cracks almost the moment he looks closer.
Oh, it completely falls apart.
Jamid comes across a Hindu temple specifically, a temple dedicated to Thakurji.
Now, for those who might not know, Thakurji is a highly revered form of the deity Krishna, right?
Yes, exactly. A figure representing absolute divine love and playfulness. It should be a focal point of immense spiritual care.
Right.
Yet despite the grand architecture all around the city, this particular sacred space is surrounded by garbage. It has been completely neglected.
And Jamid being Jamid, he doesn't write a strongly worded letter to the city council.
No, he does not.
He doesn't go find the head priest to complain about the maintenance staff. Without a single moment of hesitation, he just sits down and begins cleaning it himself.
Which is such a Jamid thing to do.
It really is. And the text specifically mentions he uses cow dung, which, in the traditional rural context, is used as a purifying antibacterial agent for floors and walls.
Right. He brings his village methodology of care directly to the city's neglected marble.
And here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
This simple, unprompted act of service completely baffles the city dwellers. The bystanders just stop and stare at him.
They have no idea what to make of it.
They don't offer to help. They don't thank him. The very first thing they ask him is whether he is a Muslim.
That question reveals so much about the city's mindset.
So much.
It implies that in their mental framework, a Muslim has absolutely no business touching, let alone cleaning, a Hindu temple.
Right, it's all about boundaries.
Exactly. The lines of identity are drawn so rigidly that an act of pure service is viewed as a potential trespassing violation.
But Jimmeed's response is brilliant in its simplicity.
It really is.
He just replies, Thakurji is everyone's Thakurji, whether Hindu or Muslim.
It's a profound statement of universal spirituality that completely bypasses their tribal logic.
Yeah, he just cuts right through it.
Let's look at the mechanism of urban anonymity here. In a small village, morality is deeply interpersonal. You know exactly who everyone is.
Right, everyone knows your business.
But in a massive city, people are surrounded by strangers. So they use religious and social labels as shortcuts to determine who is safe and who is an outsider.
That makes a lot of sense.
Institutionalized religion in this urban setting relies heavily on these boundaries.
So the city has this beautiful, expensive physical infrastructure for religion.
Yeah.
The stone, the marble, the grand gates.
Yeah.
But the spiritual infrastructure,
Yeah.
the actual connection to the divine and to fellow human beings, is entirely hollowed out.
It becomes all about labels, rituals, and spiritual real estate.
Who is pure enough to enter, who is impure and must stay outside.
Exactly. Jimmeed, however, represents pure, unlabeled devotion.
Right.
While the city dwellers see a Muslim cleaning a Hindu space and feel scandalized by the crossing of a boundary, Jimmeed just sees a divine space that requires care.
He sees dirt and he cleans it.
His morality is action-based, while their morality is identity-based.
It completely shorts out their categorized way of thinking.
Oh, completely.
They literally do not know how to process a human being who just wants to do a good deed without a tribal motive or a hidden agenda.
They can't comprehend it.
But this realization at the temple forces Jimmeed to ask a much harder question. If the sacred buildings are neglected, what happens to the vulnerable people?
And that brings us to the streets of the city.
Right, where passive neglect turns into active, horrifying cruelty.
The narrative moves from spiritual rot to physical violence, shattering any lingering illusion that this urban environment is civilized.
It gets really dark here.
It does. Jimmeed witnesses two highly disturbing incidents that force him to reevaluate his entire philosophy of pacifism.
The first incident involves a young, strong man brutally beating a frail old man in the street.
And the reason?
Yeah, the reason is insane. The old man's hen had wandered into the young man's house and made a mess.
A mess.
He is beating an elderly person over a chicken.
The disproportionate nature of the violence is the crucial element here. The youth isn't seeking justice. He is using a trivial offense as an excuse to exercise his physical superiority.
Because he can.
Exactly. He is enacting cruelty simply because he has the power to do so, and the old man lacks the power to stop him.
And Jimmeed, who we've established, is this selfless, serving, peace-loving guy from the village, physically intervenes.
He doesn't just try to de-escalate with soft words either.
No. The text explicitly states that he threatens to bury the young man if he ever raises his hand against the old man again.
Which is wild.
He steps right into the line of fire and uses the threat of overwhelming force.
He becomes a physical, immovable barrier between the oppressor and the oppressed.
Then the second incident escalates the stakes even further.
Yeah, this one is heavy.
Jimmeed encounters a Qazi, and for context, a Qazi is a powerful Islamic judge and cleric, a man who holds immense religious, legal, and social authority in the community.
A very powerful figure.
Very. And Jimmeed finds this Qazi threatening a woman behind closed doors. The text makes it abundantly clear that she is in grave physical and moral danger.
And she bravely tells the Qazi that her honor is worth more than her life.
Which is such a powerful moment.
It is. Here we see the classic, terrifying abuse of power dynamics.
Right.
Their religious authority figure is exploiting his untouchable social position to commit atrocities in secret. He is shielded by his title.
Put yourself in Jimmeed's shoes for a second.
Yep.
You are a poor, uneducated outsider. You have no money, no family connections, no social status whatsoever. And you are taking on a violent youth in the public street and now a powerful religious leader behind closed doors.
It's incredibly dangerous.
But Jimmeed doesn't hesitate. He literally kicks the door open and forces the Qazi to let the woman go.
Wow.
He, the ultimate pacifist helper, is forced to use violence, or at least the imminent threat of it, to stop actual violence.
This raises an important question, and it brings us right to the core of the story's ironic title, Hinsa Parmodharma.
Right, the title.
In classical Indian philosophy, the famous phrase is Ahimsa Parmodharma, which means nonviolence is the highest duty.
Right, like what Gandhi popularized globally.
Exactly. But Premchand titles this story, Hinsa meaning violence is the highest duty.
He completely flips the foundational script of spiritual duty.
He does. And he does it because he is illustrating that the city itself already operates on a hidden religion of violence and exploitation.
Ah, I see.
The so-called pious people, like the Qazi, hide their cruelty behind a shield of religious authority. They use the aesthetic language of peace while committing acts of predatory violence.
That is so twisted.
It is. Ahimsa, or nonviolence, assumes that your oppressor has a conscience that can be awakened by your peaceful suffering.
Right, that they will eventually feel guilt.
But Jameed realizes that these predators have no conscience. When you are faced with active, malicious cruelty, merely being a peaceful bystander is a catastrophic failure of morality.
So if you just stand there and watch the old man get beaten to death over a chicken, or if you quietly walk away while the woman gets assaulted because you don't want to cause a disturbance.
Your nonviolence is actually protecting the abuser.
Wow. You have to kick the door down. You have to threaten the bully.
Jameed's definition of duty evolves rapidly here. In the village, duty was fetching herbs and cleaning up messes.
Yeah.
In the city, duty requires physically stopping predators. Passive observation is complicity.
That's a huge realization.
Sometimes righteous force is the only language the corrupt understand.
So what does this all mean? We have this man who came to the urban center looking for enlightenment, and instead he finds himself having to act as a vigilante just to keep vulnerable people from being destroyed by the very leaders who are supposed to protect them.
The psychological toll of that has to be immense.
It really does. And it leads directly to Jameed's ultimate epiphany and his desperate need to escape.
The ending of the story is incredibly atmospheric and heavy.
It is. In the dead of night, Jameed leaves the city entirely.
The text describes him feeling physically suffocated by the poisonous air of the urban environment.
And it's not just a reference to physical pollution, is it?
No, it's a moral smog. He is choking on the hypocrisy. He realizes he has to return to his village.
He comes to understand that true religion isn't found in the grand mosques, the towering temples, or the legalistic decrees of oppressive clerics.
Not at all.
True religion, for Jameed, is distilled down to sympathy, love, and goodwill.
By the end of his time in the city, he has developed a deep, visceral hatred for the very concepts of religion and religious people as they are defined by that urban society.
Think about how often we do this in our own lives.
Oh, all the time.
How often do you judge a community, an institution, or even a company by its shiny exterior?
Right, the branding.
You see the grand buildings, the perfect corporate mission statement, the beautiful architecture of an organization, only to find that the actual culture inside, how people treat each other when the doors are closed, is completely toxic.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Premchand is stripping away the aesthetics of goodness to find mechanics of goodness.
I love that phrasing.
True spirituality is found in everyday, unglamorous acts of empathy. It's found in the dangerous work of protecting the vulnerable.
Yes.
It is absolutely not found in titles and purity rituals or in dogmatic labels that separate us from them.
So Jameed's journey forms a complete, tragic, but enlightened full circle. He goes back to the village, accepting a hard truth.
What is?
Yes, the villagers might mock him. Yes, they are selfish, and they might not give him a drop of water when he's dying.
Right.
But their foundational humanity, even with all its flaws and transactional pettiness, is far superior to the city's hollow, predatory piety.
The village is honestly flawed.
Honestly flawed.
They are petty, but they don't pretend to be saints while committing atrocities. The city is dishonestly corrupt. It uses the divine as a cloak for its cruelty.
Honestly flawed versus dishonestly corrupt. That is a heavy realization to carry home.
It really is.
Let's briefly recap this incredible journey. We started with the paradox of the village altruist, Jameed pouring his life out for others, breaking the transactional rules of society, and being called a fool for it.
Yep.
Then we followed him into the grand hypocrisy of the city, where the spiritual infrastructure was rotting beneath a pristine marble surface.
And then the violence.
Right. And finally, we arrived at his ultimate realization that true religion isn't a building or a recognized title. It's simply human empathy, and sometimes it's having the sheer courage to kick down a door to protect someone who cannot protect themselves.
It's a profound narrative arc that challenges almost every preconceived notion we have about piety and peace.
Oh,
And I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over that pushes this concept even further.
okay, let's hear it.
We've established that Jamid embraces Hinsa righteous violence as a necessary tool to protect the vulnerable from corrupt predators.
Right.
But if violence becomes the highest duty in a broken world, who gets to decide where the line is drawn?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
If a deeply moral person like Jamid must use threats and force to maintain justice, at what point does the vigilante fighting the bully risk becoming a bully himself? How does society ensure that the person kicking down the door doesn't eventually become the person locking it from the inside?
That is a terrifyingly relevant thought to sit with.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most diagnostic clarity we can get isn't from looking at a clean, perfectly ordered system, but from stepping into the murky waters and seeing who is actually willing to pull the drowning people out, no matter what methods they have to use.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive on the Simplified Summary YouTube channel. Keep questioning the structures around you, keep looking past the shiny exteriors, and we will catch you next time.